Welcome to That Anita Live, the talk show dedicated to providing emotional healing through sharing to help you create a happier life. Honey, this episode, I am over the moon happy. Why? Well, it's my first time having an in-studio audience. Hey, y'all. Hey. Aren't they beautiful? My guest today is here to heal us with her story of strength. She's a 2-time breast cancer survivor, and she's found a way to turn her pain into a passion to help others. Welcome, Sunny, to the show.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for coming out, Miss Sunny.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. I'm excited.
Now, take me back to the first day where you were told you had the diagnosis.
Okay.
What were you doing that day? How did it go?
Okay, so I actually went in, I believe, a week before to have a surgery to remove a tumor that was diagnosed as fibroadenoma. So it was a benign tumor. The doctor said, it's just a fibroadenoma. It was growing, so we're just going to take it out. Okay. A week later, I'm getting phone calls from the nurse. You need to hurry up and come in. So I'm like, okay. So by that time, it's the day before my 30th birthday. I go see the doctor. He tells me I have stage 2 breast cancer.
Whoa.
And that he has to go back in and more than likely has to remove my breast because more than likely it's spread it. So we did the surgery. I decided not to do the full mastectomy. I went to a second and third opinion first, and they said you have a lumpectomy.
Now hold on.
Yes,
because when you got that very first diagnosis,
yes.
When you got that very first diagnosis,
yes.
What hit you emotionally?
Well, when you hit a big C, you just automatically think death. So that was my first reaction, was that I was going to die. And I just happened to just, quite naturally, human nature, I just, bust out in tears and said, how did this happen? You have all these emotions. Why
Were you by yourself?
No, I actually had a friend, and he actually came into the room with me, and I had to share that with him. And, it was just a very emotional moment. And so it was just death.
Because your world spins.
Your world spins. You got all these emotions. You got everything going in your head. How do I tell my family? How do I cope with this? What's my next step? Do I take, what am I facing? I had no idea what I was facing. So much coming at you from the doctor's perspective. They speak in lingo that you're not even aware of. So you're just trying to just absorb it all at that very moment, but also put on your jacket to fight at that moment.
So immediately, when you say jacket to fight,
yes,
because some people, when they hear a diagnosis or they get a trauma,
yes,
experience trauma in their lives, the first thing they do is fold.
I did not fold because a year before I lost my only brother to violence, and so I knew I had to fight for my parents to stay here on earth for them, and so that was my immediate reaction. Was while I was taking all this in, okay, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna fight this.
Go ahead,
yes,
Sunny.
Yes.
When the doctor said you were going to have the surgery,
yes,
did he give you options, or did he just tell you and you rolled with it?
He came right in and said, you're gonna have to have a mastectomy. More than likely this cancer has spread it. Because at that moment, they put it under the pathology. It's aggressive because I was young. Then they tell you if it's HER positive, HER negative, if it has a vitamin of K12. I'm getting all of this intel and not really knowing what it is, and say the first thing came to mind, I need a second opinion. Because you're the first doctor to diagnose me as having a fibroadenoma. But what I learned later on, he should have biopsied the knot first and then determine whether it was cancer or not. By him removing it, in my opinion, cancer spreads. And it spread immediately to my lymph nodes. Within 1 week, I had 13 positive lymph nodes because I went the following week, I had the lumpectomy after having my second and third opinion. And I actually fought to get into the surgery room. I was on the phone with the surgeon. You need to get me in, get me on the schedule, because I want this thing out of me. So that was the fight in me at that moment, fighting for my life.
The day of surgery?
The day of surgery. Well, not the day of surgery.
Did you go by yourself?
No, I had quite naturally, I had family there, so I didn't go by myself. I think I was in there for about 4.5 hours because they have to make sure they clean all of that cancer out. They have to have clear margins, so when they have to put markers in you and so forth. So I think I was in there for 4.5 hours. I actually think I left and went to a party afterwards because I know, seriously, I was on we're going to fight this, you know.
Is there any reason that you decided not to have the full mastectomy?
Fear. At that moment, that was something at 30 years of age, that was a fearful thing for me to have a full mastectomy. I don't know why I didn't, because they did tell me with my first and second opinion, it was not going to equal me life having a mastectomy versus a lumpectomy. Okay. And so they were women that told me that. The man was, not to say anything bad about a man, but the man doctor said have the mastectomy. But the 2 women doctors said have a lumpectomy because it will not equal you life. If this cancer decides to come back, you know, it's still not going to equal you life. And so that's what made me have the decision to do the lumpectomy versus the mastectomy.
Now, I didn't miss that, but you said after the surgery, you got up and went to a party.
I think I went home. Actually, I went to a party with the bandage and everything. Yes, I did. Because at this moment, I'm celebrating too. Like, this thing is out of me. I just refuse to fold like that. I refuse to just.
What did your mom say?
I think your mother knows you. Your mother, they so carry you.
When you said you were going to a party, she didn't say anything.
She didn't say anything. And I believe she laid, it was so ironic, she laid in the bed with me the day of the surgery. I was a little ill, and I said, I'm going to this party. She didn't say anything. I think she knows her daughter, so she's like, okay, all right, be
Pop
safe.
Didn't say anything either?
No, because I get it from him, actually.
Party.
Okay. Yes. I know you're amazed about it. I know.
I can't get past the party.
Yes, I think I went to it because I'm like, I'm going to party. I'm celebrating. I have the wrap and everything, and I celebrated.
So when did you go back to work?
So mind you, they're now scheduling me for chemotherapy because I hadn't quite started the chemotherapy. Okay. So quite naturally, I couldn't party after that. That's a whole nother story. So I would do the chemotherapy. I had 2 types of chemotherapy. The first one was adriamycin. And it was this, I will remember, it was just this orange liquid. It reminds you of like Ajax, the Ajax liquid, dishwashing liquid. It looks just like that. They hook you up to that, and I became violently ill with that. I mean, it just makes you ill. Hair came out, and my sister could tell you I had hair down my back. My hair just came out within 2 weeks. So I feel like I'm going to the doctor to get sick because the adriamycin, that bag of just chemotherapy, just make you sick. And so I would go to chemotherapy. For the first round with the adriamycin, I just was, sick on the stomach. But I managed to be off for a week and go to work. But I'm telling you, the people on my job, my supervisors, and they helped me with my healing. They were right there with me. They were my rock. They said, if you just have to lay down for 8 hours, just lay down on my couch for 8 hours and get a paycheck. So, I mean, I had that support system that helped me to be where I'm at today, sitting on your show to tell you that. It was
How
just
much
phenomenal.
chemotherapy did you have to have?
So I believe I had, if I can recall, I believe it was 4 weeks of the adriamycin, and then it was 4 weeks of the Taxol. Then the Taxol make you feel like you got the flu. You know how you aching, made you have the flu. And so it was a rough road, but I fought it. Now the Taxol, I felt like I was by this time they're giving me Benadryl not to, vomit the chemotherapy, the treatment. And so I'm riding because I have Kaiser now, so I'm riding all the way up Rockville. I'm living in Washington, D.C. just to get sick. That's what I kept saying. I'm just riding up here to get sick again. But I would do it every time I needed to have chemotherapy.
Then how often did you go back for checks to see whether or not it was being?
So I'm going to see the doctor. I'm going to see and I had a radiologist. I had an oncologist. I had a breast surgeon and my gynecologist. And I'm around the clock every 6 months. And then before you have chemo, you have to have your blood work checked to make sure your white blood count is high enough for you to have this chemotherapy. And then if that dropped, and I had to give myself shots every day on my thigh.
You fought to be here.
I fought to be here.
So, okay. Let's get to the point. You're going through the chemotherapy.
Yes.
Driving back and forth, like the 40, 50 miles back and forth to
Yes.
Rockville. At what point did they give you a clean bill of health and the chemotherapy stops?
I'm gonna tell you, when my first meeting with the oncologist with Kaiser, he told me, you can die from this disease. literally told me that. I said, you don't know who you talking to. I said, I'm small, but I'm a fighter. And he actually had me looking at my own trials online. I said, well, I don't even know what I'm looking at, sir. You haven't given me any data. I don't know what trial I'm supposed to select. Just give me the conventional chemotherapy. That was my first day meeting him. So by the time open season came for for your health insurance, I was out of Kaiser. Because I fired him. The nurses was wonderful, but I fired him immediately, and my breast surgeon. Literally fired him.
You got to go. You got to go.
You gotta go. Yes.
And
I'm here. But so the clean bill of health that I got was when I went to go see my oncologist. She said, we just have to just really monitor you because my margins weren't that clean. They really weren't that clean, and they felt that it was going to somewhat come back and, potentially be in my blood and leukemia, quite naturally get leukemia. And so I'm fearful, I have a sense of fear because that's in our nature. But then I had the doctors, this was, just really giving me hope. And once you get the 5-year mark, you good. I got that 5-year mark, I'm like, I'm here. I got that 10-year mark, I'm like, yes. And then, they were just a team of doctors that I actually had chosen because they weren't a team together. I actually hand-picked my doctors, who spoke to me, who spoke to my spirit, who was, really having that tough but direct and real and loving conversation with me about, what this could potentially do to me. And, is it going to be am I going to be dead within 5 years or, but they did it in such a loving way. And it helped me to be here, yes.
And they didn't come off and tell you. The first thing out of their mouths was not
what that other doctor told me.
Yeah.
He told me, you can die. He said it can spread through your body. It's already spread through your lymph node. I mean, I was just taken back. You know how you see that on TV and, you have these doctors and, you have these doctor shows and they just, the patient or the patient's families always say, they just so, they don't have no feelings. And he just told me that. And here I am, 30 years old.
So how long did you have a clean bill of health before you found out about the second diagnosis?
Oh, I was, so it was 3 years, so 12. So I'm going on 16 years this year. So it would have been, if you do the math, 13 years. So so mind you, I'm back on this 1-year track now. So I'm having my mammograms and MRIs. A mammogram 6 months, MRI 6 months.
Whoa.
So I'm doing that. I've been doing that for the last 13 years. Going to see the gynecologist, breast surgeon, oncologist, everything. For 13 years.
Then you hit 13.
Yes.
And found out.
The second time. It was in I went and I think it was in November. It took her 2 weeks to tell me that I had the second cancer. So I ended up firing her too, but anywho. So but the blessing was, she said, we see something, Sonny. So first they just the calcifications. And so my sister had been through that too. So she was like, slow down on the caffeine and, she got on me, don't drink a lot of tea and coffee and, just chocolate. And so I try to do that, but it's difficult with the chocolate and my iced tea. But anywho, the breast surgeon said, well, I think I got it out doing your biopsy, but it's stage 0. And I had a sense of, well, that ain't nothing. Not what I went through. She thinks she got it out through, my, biopsy. But quite naturally, they still want to go back in there and make sure everything was good. And actually, before I even went for the second surgery, they had an MRI and nothing. They didn't see anything. But just with the diagnosis, I had to.
We'll be right back to hear more about the second diagnosis and gain more strength from Sonny.
Yes.
A 2-time breast cancer beater.
Yes.
Here's what you miss when you're not in studio with That Anita Live.
But back then she said she was English. She said, oh, this said, bring me a third chair.
Last stop on the bus to the first stop on the bus, right? And then you get on the 7 train, last stop on the 7 train to the first stop on the 7 train, 42nd Street. Then you transfer into the 1.
Do you want it?
Yes. But then I make it up there.
Okay, 1 second. How hard is it to deliver food? please tell a man to just leave the food at the front there.
Because, I'm at the end of my toilet paper roll. And so I can talk to multi-generations, I can.
I think it was when I talked to his wife.
Wow.
Yes. I don't even mention this in the book.
No, you didn't. Please spill the tea.
You know.
You did that.
Come on. I love to have you in my audience. All right, we're back with Sonny, breast cancer survivor,
Yes.
two-time
Yes.
breast cancer beater. And we were just at the point to where you had learned that you were being diagnosed for a second time with breast cancer.
Yes.
Again, in the doctor's office, or where did you receive this diagnosis?
It was in the doctor's office because she called and said, she actually called and told me over the phone. I was at work. And she said, because I'm thinking no news is good news because I hadn't heard back from her after I had the biopsy.
Okay.
So I'm saying, oh, no news is good news then. Hadn't heard from her. So it was like 2 weeks and then she tells me. And I'm like, oh, wow. And I had to tell my husband, I'm like, oh, wow. So tell my family, like, oh, wow. So it was just a oh, wow factor.
For everybody.
For everybody, again. And it's a scary moment, It's just, well, what does this really mean? And this is a whole new cancer. A whole new cancer. Not a reoccurrence. So I'm like, what is really going on with my body? Now, so I'm really trying to take charge again. So give me the full-fledged, the test to see if you have some type of gene. Because I've taken one and it came that it was negative, but it didn't test as many genes that they have now. Because, time goes on, things have gotten better in terms of, treatment and what they can really test your genes. And so I think they tested like over 150 genes. Still came nothing. They don't find anything. Negative.
But this time, how did you make the decision for your course of treatment?
So the blessing was one of my other sisters, she was going through issues with her breast and she had a breast surgeon that she loved. And so it was a whole incident with my other breast surgeon. And so I went to go see him and he said, no mastectomy, no mastectomy is stage 0. We actually didn't see anything when we did your MRI, but we have to go in there because you have a diagnosis. We got to make sure it's clean, there's nothing there. And so that's what it was all about. It was him reassuring me. And then I did some research on him and he's just really about learning the whys and, why are we going through this? I mean, so he kind of
So the second time, you didn't have to have any surgery?
No surgery.
Chemo?
No, thank goodness, no chemo. No radiation. Well, they couldn't radiate me anyway. I would have opted to do radiation, but you can't re-radiate the breast, the same, in the same breast. Yes.
So then how did you get into helping others?
Well, helping others, that's just me. I've always done it, even when I was probably on chemotherapy. I'm always helping others. I've always been that way. It's just a nature in me to always help others.
So how did people become interested in your head wraps?
So my dear sister here again, and she says, Sonny, something is on my spirit. You gotta do something. She didn't have it. She didn't have like a vision for me, but she said, you got to do something. I saw my spirit. And so my mom 2 years ago had bought me a sewing machine because I love Project Runway. I'm not sure if you guys watch that, but it's Project Runway. Yeah. And so she bought me a Project Runway sewing machine. So I said, I got to find something to do. So one day, my sister and I were going out that night. My hair was a mess. And I actually took some fabric and sewed it together and made a wrap. And my sister was like, ooh, that's nice, Sonny. I was like, you like? She was like, yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, I might have to take this serious. And so I took some sewing classes to learn the basics. And I just started piecing the hair wraps together. And I'm telling you, it's nothing but God ordained. I mean, just the piecing together, the different colors together. I can do a reversible. You can wear it on 2 different sides. The way I boxed it. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And it just took off. It started last year in May of 2017. And it just took off. People just gravitated towards them. And I'm just like in awe. Like I didn't think it was going to just jump out like that. And just like, wow. It's like they need a So Essential hair wrap.
And it's so essential I'm thinking because with a lot of breast cancer survivors, they lose their hair.
Yes.
And as women, a lot of us are attached to
Yes.
what we call our crown of glory.
Yes.
So to be able to still have that crown
Yes.
emotionally
It
just makes everybody
just makes you feel beautiful. And so I was fortunate enough that, you know, because we always think about style too. 'Cause I think I'm a pretty stylish lady, and I like to always try to look nice.
Too.
So when I went through chemotherapy and lost all my hair, wraps were very popular. So I would just go, you know, go to the beauty supply store and just, you know, wear my wraps because I wasn't too keen of the wigs because, you know, I was bald head and it irritated me. So I was like, let me just move to the head wraps. And so I remember feeling beautiful. I remember being able to go to work with them, being able to ride the subway with them, be able to go out and, you know, enjoy myself with them when I could. And so I felt beautiful.
And
so
not be subconscious about.
Yeah. Even though I lost all my other hair, I had to draw eyebrows and all of that, but I still felt beautiful from the, you know, your crown of your glory. Like you said, we're attached to our hair. And so those who are going through chemotherapy, they don't have that anymore. So how do I still feel beautiful along with my healing? And that's a form of the healing, is the wrapping your crown of glory. And I actually have a t-shirt to say, rock your crown of glory.
Rock your crown of glory. We will get somebody from the audience to rock their crown of glory as Miss Sunny wraps their hair in one of her creations.
Here's what you miss when you're not in studio with That Anita Live.
But back then she said she was English. She said, oh, this said, bring me a third chair.
Last stop on the bus to the first stop on the bus, right? And then you get on the 7 train, last stop on the 7 train to the first stop on the 7 train, 42nd Street. Then you transfer into the 1.
Do you want it?
Yes. But then I nick it up there.
Okay, 1 second. How hard is it to deliver food? Please tell a man to just leave the food at the front there.
Because, you know, I'm at the end of my toilet paper roll. And so I can talk to multi-generations, you know? I can.
I think it was when I talked to his wife.
Wow.
Yes. I don't even mention this in the book.
No, you didn't. Please, spill the tea.
You know.
You did that.
Come on. I love to have you in my audience. You can go ahead and stand next to her and I'll sit here.
I need that for tonight. She said, I need that for tonight. And so if the audience can see, it's just 2 pieces of fabric.
Watch.
You want to feel it too?
I saw yours.
Yes.
I asked her, do you think you could do my head wrap like that?
Yes.
She says, oh, I don't think
Think
so.
so. But can you,
Mommy."
oh,
So
you
I
the
want-
daughter?
Yeah.
So you gotta pay attention.
So I want her to watch,
Okay.
see what you do.
Yes.
Because I want one just like it.
Sure. See what,
I know, right?
so you see?
Yes.
Just want to make, you see? You put it together, tie it like that, and kind of tuck it. Because you can wrap it all different kind of ways, whatever you feel comfortable. Once you start feeling comfortable, I'm twisting.
Slow down, Sonny.
Slow down. Oh, I'm so fast.
Okay,
Want me to do it again?
okay.
Okay, then you're going to do this way. Then you do this way. And then you just tuck it. And make sure you tuck some more. Because you got to kind of tuck it to where your comfortability is.
This is good.
And make sure it doesn't hurt your head because sometimes they can.
Be too tight.
Too tight.
How's that feel?
No, this is fine.
And that's how you wrap it. That is beautiful on you. Yes. So you want me to do it again or you good? You think you got it? Yes. And I will be putting a YouTube video out. I got to do that. Yes. You look beautiful.
You can have that.
Yes.
Oh,
It's called the Miss Lord.
so
Yes. You will. I'm not sure if you want to take it off or put it back in. I can read. You got it
Mama
now?
said she wearing that, honey. Mama said she is wearing that, honey.
There you go. You welcome them. Give you a hug. Yes.
so much.
And you look beautiful with it.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And I need yours.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That looks nice on her too. Yes. Oh, Yes, looks really pretty.
She's showing out over there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, one fell off in her driveway.
So tell me,
Yes.
to close, tell me one thing.
Okay.
What is the most emotional transformation that you have seen your head wrap have on a breast cancer survivor?
Just feeling really, really beautiful. It's a lady who actually follows me on Facebook, and I recognized that she was probably undergoing chemotherapy because she wears her hair bald. So I reached out to her, and I said, just tell me what your favorite colors are, and I'll make sure I ship one to you. And she just took a picture, and you just feel beautiful. You feel like you have a chance to fight when you attach yourself, your healing, to feeling beautiful inside. It's not necessarily the outside, because once you feel beautiful inside, it's already gonna come outside. Yeah. And that helps with your healing, because all of this, what I told you and shared with you, is about how the approach that I took to my survival, and it was all because of how I faced it, how I felt. I didn't pity. I didn't fold, as you said earlier.
Right.
I just, I relied on my higher power to get me through this, and I said, we're gonna get through this, and whatever you need your daughter to do, I shall do. I'm following your lead, I'm listening to you, and I'm feeling good, and I'm gonna make sure others feel good. So it just makes me just overwhelmed, just makes me feel really, really good when I see other women just rocking their crown of glory. It really does, and then I'm just in awe. I really am.
A serious illness is nothing you should ever go through alone. And you don't have to just look to family and friends for comfort and support. Help is all around you. Every serious illness has a circle of encouragers that have been through the exact same thing you're going through. Those fighting breast cancer have their pink sisters. No matter what your issue happens to be, always consider yourself on the road to emotional healing. To reach out to Sunny, find her and all of her fantasticness on Instagram at Essential Head Wraps. I'm Anita, your host. Be sure to check out thatanitalive.com for where and when to see our next episode.